Hello guys, I welcome you back to my channel. We are still talking about our control flow statements in that, and in the previous video we talked about our for each method and our map method, and these two methods were the last part of our chapter 3b. Our chapter 3b was dealing with looping statements, which included the while loop, the for loop, every single thing you will need to know about iterating through collections and all of that. That was what our chapter 3b was dealing with. So in this particular video, we are going to be moving straight up to our chapter 3c, which has to do with jumping statements. I'm just going to remove this guy because we are done with them. So I'm going to delete them. Inside a comment, I'm going to write jumping statement in that. An overview of what jumping statements are is that they alter the normal flow of other control flow statements. We have talked about our if else, we've talked about our switch case, we've talked about our looping statements, the for loop, the for in loop, the do while loop, and all of that. What jumping statements do is that they intercept the normal flow of these other statements. Before I forget, if this is the first video you are watching, you may want to take out your time to go over the previous video so that you can be able to stay abreast with what we are doing, right? So one thing about this jumping statement is that they're actually keywords in that we talked about keywords in one of the previous videos that I've made. They are keywords. They are just one word that is reserved, and whenever you call them, they just come and do that particular stuff that they are there to do. I'm just going to write out three of them that we are going to be discussing in this tutorial. So the first one is the break. So I'm just going to use a comment and say break. Then we have continue, and then we have return. We talked about return in the previous video where we were talking about our map method. We are trying to map an iterable that contains numbers into an iterable that contains the square of those numbers. That was where we used a return keyword. I remember that when we were talking about which case statement, we talked about the break keyword or the break statement. So I'm going to start off with the break statement or the break keyword. So the break keyword or the break statement, just like the name implies, just look at the literal meaning of that keyword break. You are doing something and then you decided to break off or you decided to break away, right? So let me say final name is equal to Emmanuel. So here I'm just going to say switch name and then I put a block. So we actually talked about the switch and case statement in one of the previous videos we did. So you may want to revisit that video to go and refresh your memory and stuff like that. So inside this block, I'm going to take the following cases. So let me say case, assuming name is Daniel, and then I put a colon. What do I want to do? I want to print this name is Daniel. I end it with my semicolon. For another case where name is Joe, I put my colon. So I just want to print this guy is Joe. For a case where this person is actually Emmanuel, right? I want to break. So this break keyword just says get out of this switch statement. If I run this code, nothing is going to happen because this name is Emmanuel, and I'm saying for this case where this name guy here is Emmanuel, and we already know that name is Emmanuel, so it's actually going to fall into this particular case. And for this particular case, we are just breaking, so it is not really going to print out anything. It's not going to give us anything on our console. So this is one of the uses of the break keyword, which is a jumping statement in that. Another use case is in loops. I'm just going to delete this guy now and remove this guy as well. So let us have an iterable or a collection. Let us say final numbers is equal to so let's say a list of numbers, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 7, and let's say 9, or let's say 10. I'm going to put a semicolon to denote the end of this statement. And then we want to loop through these numbers. Remember, we have discussed our looping statements, and I believe that by now you know how the syntax for some of the looping statements work. Let us use a for in loop now. So I'm going to say for the int number in numbers. So we want to say that if number is equal to, let's say, 4, what do we want to do? We want to break. And then inside here, we want to say print number. Before we introduce our break keyword, I'm going to comment this code and I'm going to run this code like this. Based on what we have talked before about our looping statements, how this code is supposed to work is that for each of this number, I'm going to see one. If I click on run, I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10 printed out for me on the console. And in fact, that's what I'm just going to do. So let me just click on run. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10. I mean, exactly all the elements in this list, they are printed out. Now let me uncomment this guy so that I get it activated, and then let's see what is going to happen. Let me click on run. So as you can see that we only have 1, 2, 3. So like I said initially during the beginning of this video, jumping statement is a way to alter the normal flow of control statements. So it's kind of a way to twist the normal flow of control statements. So in this code, we are looping through numbers, and for each round, we are grabbing the element for that round and we are calling it number. Then we are saying that if number becomes 4, we want to break. Remember that we check this condition before we print number. If I cut this guy and then I put it at the top before checking that if condition, you see that 4 is going to be printed. So let me just click on run. So what happens is that for the first case, it comes here, it prints out 1. It checks, is 1 equal to 4? You remember how our if statement works. So it's only when this condition is true before anything inside this block is going to be executed. 1 is not equal to 4, so we are not going to break. It comes for the second one, which is 2. Then it prints out 2. Then it checks, is 2 equal to 4? No, 2 is not equal to 4. So it continues like that until 4. First of all, it prints out 4 and then it checks, is 4 equal to 4? Yes, 4 is equal to 4. Then it breaks off. So breaking kind of terminates this loop entirely. So that's that about the break statement or the break keyword. So we go to our continue. So I think the continue statement or the continue keyword is actually the statement that outrightly and vividly depicts jumping. So what the continue statement does is that it ignores. So if I say for this particular condition, continue, it means for this particular condition, ignore, don't do anything. So let me put a condition here and say if number is equal to 3, what do I want to do? I want to continue. And then I want to do what? Print number. So let me just run this code and let's see what we have. So we have 1, 2, 4, 7. But initially our numbers is containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 10. So that means 3 was actually omitted. So that's the actual usage of the continue keyword. We're now telling our code when you're looping through numbers, whenever you get to that round where number is 3, we don't want you to do anything. If I comment this condition, what I'm actually saying is that I want to loop through all these things and then I want to print out each of those elements. Now, when I introduce this condition, I'm saying, okay, if you get to this particular condition, I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to keep going. So that's why we said that jumping statements are statements that you use to kind of modify or kind of alter the normal procedures of other control flow statements, like the normal way they behave. So in this case, for our continue keyword, just like we have seen, what it does is that it just kind of says, okay, for this particular condition, don't do anything, just keep going. So that's that about our continue keyword. So the next one is our return keyword. So let's say somebody travels to somewhere. When they come back, what do we say? We say that they have returned, right? Let's say you send a kid a message to go and buy something for you. You give them money. So when they get there, they buy the stuff, they come back. You can say that they are returning with what they went to buy. They are done doing whatever they are doing there and they are now coming back. In that and in programming in general, the return keyword or the return statement means stop every other thing you are doing and come back. Now, when you are coming back, there are two things that can happen. Either you are coming back with something or you are coming back with nothing. Let's say 90% to 95% of the time you use the return keyword in functions. But one thing I'm going to tell you about functions, even before we get to our discussion about function, is that a function in every programming language is meant to do one thing. So let's just keep it at that for now. You can compare the return statement and the break statement. The break statement says stop whatever you are doing and leave the code entirely. But the return statement says stop whatever you are doing and leave the code with something or with nothing. So on line 9, I can say if number is equal to 7, I just want to return inside here. I'm just going to print number. We can still use break here and everything is good. But then in the case of return, when you say return, the next thing that is looking at, do you want me to return 2? Do you want me to return Emmanuel? Before we call this chapter a wrap, there's something else I want to show you. Let me use break here. So what we are saying is if our number is equal to 7, we want to break. Let me say something like print number. You see that there's an issue. It's saying that this code is dead code. Let me change this break to continue. And it's still telling us that this code is a dead code. Let me change this guy to return. And it's still saying that this code is dead code. Let's say maybe it is because I am using the print statement. So let me say number plus plus. And it's still saying that this is a dead code. So whenever you use any of these jumping statements, remember that the work of a jumping statement is to alter the normal flow of a control statement. Since we are using return here, and we already know the meaning of return, don't do anything again. That means any other code we are placing after that thing is not going to get executed. So that is why that is telling you that this is a dead code, because there is nothing in this life that is going to make this guy to be executed as long as this return keyword is here, or if I put a break keyword there or a continue keyword. This is just something I want to point out for you. Any other code you place after this jumping statement, that code is going to be a dead code. It is not going to get executed at all. So thank you so much for sticking with me till the end of this video. I mean, we discussed only 3 jumping statements: break, continue, return. So when we start coding Flutter, we might encounter few other jumping statements, and we are going to take our time, maybe a minute or two, to be able to talk about what they do and how they behave and stuff like that. So in the next sub chapter, we are going to be discussing exception handling statements. Basically, exceptions are things that go wrong in our code, right? So we need to have a way to manage those scenarios when they occur. So in the next subchapter, we are going to be learning the keywords or the statements that help us to be able to manage these extreme conditions, right? So we'll be discussing keywords like the try, the catch, the throw, and a whole lot of them. If you've not subscribed to my channel, I implore you to do so. I also implore you to hit that like button. And I'm always making videos and I am dropping them randomly. So you also need to hit on the bell icon so that every time I drop a new video, you are going to be notified. Once again, thank you so much for sticking with me till the end of this particular sub chapter. So see you in the next sub chapter. Bye.